Hey guys, Ryan Dossey here, and I'm super excited about this video. I actually flew all the way out to St. Louis to grab my boy Ron here for this one. It's a really, really cool story Ron has, whether you're a wholesaler looking to become a flipper, or maybe you've got a day job you're not super thrilled with and you're wanting to make an exit. Ron went from general contractor to wholesaler to flipper to buy and hold investor in 6 months. It's gonna be a really cool interview. Let's dive right in. So, Ron, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, what market you're in, and then kind of how you got your start. So, my understanding of it, you own a flooring company,
Right.
And you were kind of doing some projects for investors. Why don't you kind of walk us through what made you want to dive into the deep end of the pool?
Well, I've been in flooring for 25 years now. That kind of evolved into doing more all-around remodeling work, doing a lot of finished basements and things like that for homeowners. I got more into the general contracting side of it,
Okay.
where I was able to sub out a lot of the work. And just over time, I started making relationships with a few different St. Louis investors, and things kind of started changing. And I've had rental property in the past and done a flip or two in the past, but wasn't a full-time gig or anything.
Okay.
About 2 years ago, I really kind of started shifting my focus and learning more about how to buy a lot of properties. Some of the clients that I had 20, 30, 50 properties, and some of these guys bought them in less than 2 years, and I really wanted to learn how to scale and
I don't blame
speed
you.
things up, And I just, as time went on, I just kind of started learning from them, and I would pick every client's brain and just ask every question I could. So then about a year and a half ago, I started going to more of the local RIAs and meetups, just trying to learn as much as I could. I liked the idea of that, 30 rental properties would, cash flowing, rental properties would be kind of take over my income source instead of having, to contract my work out. And I just really wanted to start working on my own properties, not other people's properties.
Yep.
Got tired of making other people money, really. Started wanting to make my own money. So, so that kind of led me to learning about the Brrrr method and seeing how that works, and learning how to get funding, and whether it be hard money or private money. Just kind of dove in from there.
So when you started, you were the one physically GCing the projects, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you were involved in a lot of the day-to-day meeting with subs, dealing with complaints, invoicing, all that kind of stuff.
Everything, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'd go out, I'd walk the job, bid the job, take scope of work, turn it into an estimate, sell the job, order the job, schedule all the contractors, make sure everybody was doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Was that a 9 to 5?
It was a 5 to 9.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was maybe a little bit longer.
Very, very time consuming. I wasn't swinging a hammer as much anymore, which is what I wanted to be doing. Yeah, but still not where I wanted to be.
So was it like family stuff that you felt like you were missing? Was it the financial piece? Like what took you from, because I mean you were making good money, it was pretty consistent, it was hard work, but I mean to decide, okay, I'm going to start spending money on marketing with no guarantee that this will work.
Right.
Like what was the catalyst that kind of pushed you to I need to give this a shot?
Well, everything I do is for my family.
Okay.
And having a fourth kid really changed the way I looked at things. And I wanted to start building something, that leaving a legacy for my family.
Cool.
Really trying to figure out a way to just, like I said, to stop swinging a hammer.
Yep.
After 20 plus years of laying floors,
It'll tear your body
it'll
up.
tear you up. And getting to be 40, I'm looking at the next 20, 25 years, and I know some old broke down floor guys. Yeah, they're all crippled.
The guy who lives next to me in San Diego, actually, I think is probably 81, 82, up at 4 a.m. every day,
Still
lays
working.
floor. comes back. I mean, a guy can
Brutal.
barely walk.
Exactly.
Yeah, my dad did a lot of similar stuff to you. He didn't do flooring, but did security and electrical and home theater and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, just tore through his body the span of like 10, 20 years.
So I'm in pretty good shape. I could have done it for a long time, but I just I had tried making money in that industry every way I could, from doing the work to subbing the work out to even sales. Okay. And I went from subcontracting for the local flooring stores to building my own client base and doing my own work, which was great, and make more money doing that. But still wasn't ever going to build wealth the way I wanted to. And that's why I knew real estate was the key for that. But I just didn't really know how to do it on a bigger scale.
It sounds to me, and maybe I'm wrong.
Okay.
Feel free to tell me I'm wrong. But it sounds to me like you found yourself in a place that a lot of business owners find themselves, where it's almost like a job. Mm-hmm. And I remember one of my mentors asked me if somebody else would work for as little as I was paying myself to do that job. Right. And my answer was no. Like nobody in their right mind would.
No.
So it sounds like that's kind of where you got to, of kind of that like making good money, but it being 12-hour days.
And then I built everything on my personal name also, to where all of my referrals wanted me there.
Yep. Okay.
And there's no way to get out of that. And then as I started sending in even my top guys to do the whole job, homeowners were wanting me there because they hired me because of my
reputation. And quality.
Exactly.
I mean, one thing I can say, you did the work at Justin's house. It turned out great.
Right on.
So
Thank you.
I've seen your work firsthand. So have you been, I know we've talked about, you've made a lot of changes in that business. Mm-hmm. Stuff running now without you having to be at job sites?
It is. So shifting from working for homeowners to investors was great, because they're all lockbox houses.
Yep.
No more, the homeowner being there, living there, kids come home from school, and
oh, sorry, we're cooking dinner while you're laying floor.
Yeah, just being in the lockbox houses was great. And most of the investors really didn't expect me to be the one doing all the work.
Cool.
And they knew my past, and they knew my reputation, and that our work was quality.
Yeah.
But I was able to drop my guys off and let them work and do the remodel.
So it sounds like at the same time you really started to push out into the direct to seller investing stuff yourself.
Absolutely.
You also transitioned from more like, retail, like, stay at home mom, super picky kind of stuff, to investors that are like, paint it tan, put in carpet.
Same paint, same carpet, same cabinet, same flooring, and everything.
Cool.
It's great. Limit those choices.
So you streamlined it.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely. To where I was able to spend. So this was 2019. I was really getting into this full time, to where I was going to RIAs and making relationships with investors. Just trying to keep my guys busy.
Yeah.
And so I had money coming in, but I was really spending my days trying to find properties.
Cool. So let's talk about the transition you made, that first marketing campaign.
Okay.
I think one of the funniest but also most frustrating things to me about working with and chatting with investors, it's like a buy and hold guy will pay a $30,000 assignment fee to a wholesaler without blinking.
Right.
But you tell them, hey, you're going to have to expose yourself by $3,000 to $5,000 in marketing to get a deal, and you're not going to have to pay that fee. Well, there's no guarantees. So, I early on, that was my first deal I ever did, was direct to seller, off market, through direct mail. So I never knew the foreclosure inventory piece. But for people who are watching this or who are listening to this that are a newer investor, they're not finding deals on the MLS. The wholesale deals they're being sent aren't really deals. I mean, I'll be blunt. When I wholesale something, I can get 80 to 85% of ARV all day long.
Right.
I'm not going to sell you a Brrrr deal when I can make an extra 15 grand, right?
Right.
At the end of the day, similar to you, I'm doing this for my family, and as much as I'd like to be a nice guy and just sell stuff at 75%, I'm going to take highest and best, right?
Sure.
So what was it like for you? What were kind of some of the conversations? I mean, I'm sure your wife had some thoughts as you were like, hey, I'm going to go drop $3,000 on something that I don't know if it'll work or not.
Yeah. I was looking for deals, like you said, on the MLS. I know a lot of realtors. I've worked for a lot of agents over the years. So I thought, well, maybe I have an in with them finding, those type of remodel deals on the MLS, that wasn't happening. I started meeting wholesalers, trying to use hard money and pay their assignment fee, and all in all, that wasn't really working. I was sending out some postcards, not the volume that I really needed to be. That really wasn't working either. And when I really started dialing in my business and trying to work it as a full-time business, I knew that to go direct to seller, that I had to cast a big net, and I had to really, it takes money to make money. And I'm all about. Unfortunate. I'm all about I'm all about betting on myself, though. I'm definitely confident in what I'm doing. I do have the rehab background, so I've been remodeling houses my whole life.
You do definitely, I think, have an advantage with that estimating repair cost piece.
Absolutely. I know what things cost, and I've been in houses every day for, my whole life, really. I mean, I've been doing different types of remodeling work since I was a kid, really.
Yeah.
So
I like the point you made, though, if you had to bet on yourself.
Absolutely.
Because that was exactly how I looked at this.
Absolutely.
Like when I started, it was kind of like, might as well give this a shot and see what ends up coming out of it, right?
Yes.
So, first campaign, you spent roughly $3,000.
Not even.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what was your first? Walk us through the first campaign.
Okay.
Who you marketed to, what the results were off that, what it cost you.
First campaign, I believe I sent out 2,000 pieces of direct mail.
Okay.
From Ballpoint Marketing, real high visibility envelope, a high open rate, just really grabs your attention, handwritten letter inside, and that was from just the absentee with owner list, or absentee owner with equity list.
So absentee owner, so it's roughly $2,500, somewhere around there. What were the results off of that, and how long did it take?
So I would say the phone started ringing within a few days of dropping that first batch. I probably had 15, 20 leads. I'd say within the first 10, there was a vacant property a guy had bought, retired, bought it for a flip house, got called back to Boeing, went back to work, didn't have time to work on the property. I went, made him an offer, negotiated a little bit. I got that one under contract. I actually didn't have much of a buyer's list, threw it up on Facebook.
Cool.
Real estate agent bought me a buyer. I actually double closed on that one, and I think I made about $8,000.
Cool.
That first one.
Very neat. So one of the things I like that you mentioned about that particular deal is that it was a flipper who failed.
Yes.
And chose to sell it. Because a lot of real estate investors make the mistake of like removing people who bought it in the last 5 years. And I've bought more houses from people that have owned a house for 6 months than I can count.
He owned it for 6 months.
Cool. So had you excluded that, you would have missed out on that deal.
Yes.
So
he did all right. He did all right too.
Oh,
he made some money.
So it was a win-win.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's another thing. A lot of people have the conception of like they have to lose in order for me to win. And a lot of the houses, don't get me wrong, a lot of the houses I buy, people lose money because they made dumb decisions or didn't pay their mortgage or whatever. But a lot of houses we buy, people make a pretty handsome profit. They just timed the market.
I think he probably made about 15. Cool. Even with the work that he did, I made about 8. And actually my buyer, I've kind of gotten good friends with since then. It was his first Brrrr deal.
Cool.
And I think he's cash flowing like $400 a month.
Awesome.
So he's super.
So how long did it take for that deal to close? I know a lot of people, there's a gap, right? You spend the money and then you're waiting on the results to come in. And I've had marketing campaigns that like, it's been profitable in 2 weeks. I've got a campaign that literally just paid off that was from back in November. Like the most fresh, we got good leads out of it, narrowed it down to like one really, really good prospect. We were exposed by like $4,000. And we're kind of like, November ends, December, January, and we're kind of like, what's going on? Finally got this deal. We actually made $14,000 on it. We got it under contract yesterday, assigned it to somebody today for a $14,000 spread. So not upset about that, ahead by 10, but there was a couple months of like, what's going on? So how long was kind of that time from cash out to cash back in?
I'd say from the time I paid my invoice, printed the mail, and dropped it, that went quick. That was a week or two. I got the call within the first couple of days of it going out. It was one of the first appointments I took. I had it under contract within a day or two.
Okay.
And we closed 30 days later. And in that time is where I found the buyer.
Cool.
So yeah, I mean, a little over a month.
Cool. So yeah, it's probably like 45 days,
Yep.
something like that.
Yep.
Okay, so not terrible.
Yep.
I know you had another one that wasn't quite so easy that we'll chat about here in a second.
Yeah.
But so first campaign you did, like seriously, it sounds like you kind of dabbled with some stuff before. You were ahead profit-wise by about $5,500.
Yeah.
So what was your next deal? How long did it take?
The next deal was one that I had found that I've been working for a while and actually kind of gave up on. And when we started working together last summer, it really kind of helped me streamline everything, and you pushed for me to follow up with this one. So I did. I had already made an offer on that house and then just kind of let it fall away.
Okay.
But then by me following up with him, he came down from his asking price of $25,000 to $10,000.
Okay.
So I locked it up real quick.
Okay.
And the same day, and maybe the next day, I had met one of my rehabber buddies that I've known forever, and he showed me a property in St. John that he was wrapping up and was doing he does great work, and really made this place look great. And didn't know what he was going to do next, and I told him about the other property I just got under contract, and he offered me $36,000 for that one, and I had it with the $10,000 purchase price and the $4,000 in back taxes that I agreed to pay.
Okay.
I had it for $14,000. Sold that contract to him for $22,000.
Cool. So roughly $30,000 in profit between those two deals, or 27.
I was right
like
at 30.
Okay.
Between the first two.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 30 gross minus marketing costs, basically.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. So what I really like about kind of how your progression has gone is you started out wholesaling, like a lot of us have done, because it's the easier,
easy.
no money, make money with a little money. You don't have to
Yep.
buy houses or line up money or anything like that. And then you had a deal come up that you realized you could make a lot more money on flipping.
Yes.
So let's chat about that one just kind of briefly,
Yeah.
because I think there's deals that are really easy to get done, and then there's deals that are really, really difficult.
Yes.
And unfortunately, sometimes you get the difficult one first or the easy one.
This one wasn't easy. Yeah.
So this was one, I know when you were out in San Diego hanging out with us, you were like, I think this is falling apart.
It was.
You were freaking out a little bit.
Little bit,
So
yeah.
what was the story with that one?
Story with that one was my first couple of drops were absentee owners with equity, and the third one I actually did a bankruptcy with equity list. He was recommended, and I threw it out there. Got a hit on one. I kind of abandoned the 75% minus repairs on this one.
Okay.
I knew walking in the door that it was a deal and that I could get it. They were behind on payments. They were getting ready to lose their house, and I was able to help them keep that foreclosure off the record. So I paid a little more than the 75% on that one, but it was I would call it a quick flip more than a wholesale deal.
Okay.
Because we had to get in and do some work.
Okay. The seller though, this wasn't like you went under contract and then they were good.
No.
And you don't have to I doubt they'll ever see this. I'm not asking you to bad mouth them or anything, but how many times do you think they called and asked to be let out of the deal? Or left you freaked out voicemails?
6 to 8 times, at least.
Yeah.
They were trying to get out of it every way they could, basically because
I know they're trying to push back closing.
Yeah, they just they were lazy and didn't take any initiative to try to figure out where they were going to go.
Yeah.
They had options, but they just didn't do anything.
So they procrastinated. Which, welcome to dealing with people, right?
Right, and even if I would have let them out, that doesn't change the fact that
they're still going to get foreclosed on.
So
I think that's a good note to make, is they asked to be let out of the deal.
Well, the husband asked.
Correct. The husband,
the wife,
the instigator,
yes.
Asked to be let out, but the answer was no.
Yes.
And I'm typically, if somebody wants out of a deal, and if they're an absentee owner, I'm like, sucks to suck. You're an investor, you know better. You're going to sell to me for this price, or I'm going to cloud title, right? Good luck selling to somebody else. With an owner occupant, I would normally let them out. But in your situation, I would have done the exact same thing, because if we let them out, they were going to get foreclosed on and end up in a worse position.
The husband would call me wanting out, and then he'd hang up the phone. The wife would call me and tell me how she's ready to go. So I was getting that mixed thing, and it wasn't even that he wanted out, but it really came down to he just needed 2 more weeks.
Like you mentioned the Brrrr deal. You sold it to this guy, and you made $8,000, so $5,500. He's cash flowing $400 a month.
Yes, he is.
So he's going to sit on this thing for 13, 14 months and have made more money than you are.
Yes.
But on top of that, he's getting the equity pay down, the depreciation, the appreciation if there is any. So really kind of the wealth building piece. So you did kind of the same thing I did. Started out wholesaling, did some flips, and then I realized if I'm going to flip something, I want to keep it. So you've now done 2 wholesales. You have the flip in progress right now.
Yeah, we'll be listing it next week.
Listing it next week. Awesome. And then you have 1 or 2 Brrrr deals under contract now as well, correct?
2 of them.
Okay, so in 6 months,
Yes.
we went from kind of like GCing your projects and working to get in front of more investors as opposed to retail clients,
Right.
to popping off 2 wholesale deals, a flip,
Yes.
and 2 Brrrr deals.
Correct.
Okay, awesome. So total like net to you profit, let's say it's probably like 4 months worth of marketing that you've had go out. That you've seen the results of so far, because I know you've just sent marketing and all that stuff again. But so you've got roughly 10 to 12,000 out in like net profit from wholesale stuff. You're at like 29, 30.
30, yeah.
So 30,000. So you're ahead by 18 to 20. On top of that, you have this flip that's going up. What do you think you'll make on that flip?
Probably 20 to 25.
Okay, so we can say you're ahead by 30 to 40 pretty conservatively. Plus now into 2 Brrrr deals. Different people watching this are going to be at different like places financially. My last year as a W-2 employee, I made less than I think it was 21,000 pre-tax, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of had a little bit of cushion, but found a way to pay for marketing, jumped in on it.
Right.
And I mean, honestly, the return on betting on yourself has been huge. I know personally, I've been super proud. It's been super cool just to see the progression, because I'm watching you go through the same thought process as I had of like, wait, I just wholesaled that, I made $5,000.
Right.
This guy's gonna make that and more every single year.
I weigh it against how many square feet of floors would I have to make $30,000.
Okay.
Or how many,
it's a lot of floor.
How many square feet of walls do I have to paint to make that much?
Yeah.
Or whatever. How many cabinets do I have to install? So that's what I kind of measure it against.
Okay.
And then the pain that laying 15,000 square feet of
The
floors.
literal blood, sweat, and tears.
That's what I weigh it against, and that's a huge motivator.
Cool. Cool. So you got 2 Brrrr deals in the process. What has it been like for you on like the family side?
Okay.
Like, have you been able to be at home more, around the family more? Like, because that was your initial goal. I know you're only 6 months in. Like, I'm not expecting you to have everything perfect.
Sure.
But what's that been like?
I don't come home beat up as much, like physically.
Yeah.
To where I just got to just lay there and kind of recoup for the night.
Just like veg out.
Yeah, I try to work on being more present when I am home.
Yeah. My dad's thing was Breyer's ice cream after a long day.
Yeah.
And deadliest catch. that was the contractor recovery routine.
I'm not a big TV guy, but I do still do watch a lot of YouTube videos. I'm still trying to learn and everything, so I try to not get too deep into that at night. I got 4 kids, so I try to be home where I can my wife can go do what she's got to do in the evening, and I'm home with a couple or all the kids.
Cool.
And, just trying to find that balance.
Okay.
And I think as time goes on, I'm going to get that dialed in a little more too, because
It's a moving target.
I didn't do all this to keep working 5 to 9.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get things in place to where I'm building a business that can run itself.
Yep. But also making the family a priority.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, what's the point?
Right.
I get a kick out of like entrepreneurs that have made it, but they're 400 pounds. It's like, bro, you haven't made it. Like you're still running from something, right? So one other thing I wanted to chat about with you A lot of real estate investors make the mistake if they spend the money on the marketing, they sit and wait for a deal. They get the deal, they have to wait to get paid on it. Then they go and market again. And it's almost like, I call it a 6-figure hamster wheel. Okay. It's really easy in real estate to make $100,000 a year. I mean, I'm being blunt, right? I'm not saying it's like get rich quick or anything like that, but that's a couple deals, right? That's like a decent month for some of us. So I know you had a couple times when you did it both ways, where you hadn't gotten paid yet, and you had to market again. And then I know you've had another time where cash was tight and tied up, so you had to push off marketing. So let's kind of chat about just that consistency piece.
That's something that I'm working hard on right now, is to consistently drop mail no matter what. Honestly,
easier said than done.
It is. So every time I order 2,000 pieces, I drop all 2,000 pieces at once.
Okay.
I don't spread it out.
You want that?
I drop it
You
all.
want that hit.
I love it. And but by third or fourth week, it's slowing up.
Yep.
But I kind of need that to kind of get caught up with
Get caught up a little bit. Okay.
That's something I'm working on, is figuring out what my what my routine's going to be.
I think the goal is you drop mail consistently enough and have enough leads that it makes sense to bring on an acquisitions manager.
Yeah.
Because that gets you out of the, like, I mean, I'll be blunt, I'm pretty spoiled. Like, I'm not going to look at houses anymore. Right. I'm not like, I still remember what they smell like, but it's like, the memory is growing a little bit more distant.
I think that's going to be something that's going to be hard for me to let go, though.
Oh yeah.
I like doing it, and I feel like it's a skill that I have that that's going to be hard to hand off.
Yep.
So
I've had several of those that have been something I'm good at, but I've realized I'm not the best at it.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's trying to find kind of that happy middle ground. But
so that's coming, and I think to be able to bring somebody on, I need to make the marketing consistent to where I have consistent leads every week, not a bunch at the beginning of the month and none by the end of the month. Yep. That's not going to work with an acquisition guy.
In 2016, I did 6 off-market deals. Okay. 2017, I did 74. And in order to hit that, I kind of set the goal of I wanted to do 50 deals. At the time, I'd have to send 2,000 or 2,500 pieces of mail to get a deal, which fortunately my average has gotten a little bit better as I've gotten better. But I basically decided 52 weeks.
Is that 2,500?
2,500 per deal.
Okay.
Yep. So for me to do 50 deals, I needed to do basically 2,500 pieces of mail a week. Right. And I just started spending it. And there were weeks that it was like, I am out of my damn mind. Like, I don't know.
A lot out there.
I don't know where this is. And then the thing though is it really starts to snowball as that consistency's there. And it got to the point I wasn't even able to stick with my like 10,000 pieces of mail a month because we had too many leads. We had too many deals that we had to figure out some of those other kind of systems, right? But as investors are setting goals and things, I think it is important to look at it as a business decision and not an emotional decision. A buddy of mine, when I first started doing direct-to-seller marketing, was like, it's pretty much like gambling. It's just like your hopes and dreams and your family are riding on it. So like when it pays off, it's like an unbelievable rush. But it's also that balance of at the same time when it feels like stuff's lagging. That campaign we did in November that we didn't get anything off of, if I just kind of like, crossed my arms and like, well, I'm going to wait, right? We would have missed out on a lot of deals, a lot of profit, and a lot of progress in, what's that been? So last question I've got for you in closing. If you could go back 6 months, would you make the same decisions, take the same risks you took again?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt. Like I said, I'm all about betting on myself, but I needed to prove to myself that what I'm doing works.
Yep.
So if I've dropped, 5 batches of 2,000 pieces of mail and basically gotten 5 deals out of it, it kind of gives me, something to gauge where I'm at and what I need to be doing.
Yep.
So a deal a month's great, I need to be doing 2 deals a month.
Yep.
To really make this work.
And then you'll want to do 3.
Right.
4.
We'll worry about 2 for now. Two for now. Immediate goal is 10 rental properties. I really need 30 to be where I want to be.
Okay.
But 150 is like the big picture.
Okay.
And so just kind of doing the math to figure out what it's going to take to get me there. Just kind of helping me dial things in so that I know I have confidence in what I'm doing now.
Yeah. No, I think that was my biggest lesson on my first deal. I remember I took this check back to my wife for, I think it was like, $12,000. And, biggest grin on my face. And in my head, I was like proving to her that it worked.
Absolutely.
Fortunately, I have a really good wife who didn't need that. And I was like, a little kid, right? Like, I told you. And she was like, you didn't need to prove this to me. You needed to prove this to you. And I was like, oh, gosh.
her seeing the $8,000 check was like, wow,
Yeah.
But her seeing the $22,000 check, she's like, that's what you need to be doing.
Yeah.
Don't
forget no 15,000 square feet of flooring.
No, forget the contracting stuff. You need to be doing that. What's it going to take? And I said, well, it's going to take a lot of work. And it's going to, take feeding the machine.
Yep.
And that's reinvesting in it. And we're just kind of, 6 months in, we're getting into the flow of things. But she gets it. She's on board. She sees the big picture. So definitely supportive there. And, the kids are into it too. They know that I'm happy doing what I'm doing and that I was unhappy what I was doing. So,
I think that's huge.
It is. I got a couple of kids who are a little older, and they're into it, and they're really seeing what I'm doing. And I tell them you gotta invest in yourself, and you gotta kind of think outside the box.
I wouldn't show them any checks when they're too young.
No,
I got ruined real early on in
life.
So
there was times when I'd come home from flooring jobs or whatever, and I'd have stacks of hundreds, and fan them out. And they always like seeing that, but it can leave the wrong impression though. They think Dan's got this pocket full of $100 bills. It's like but it's going to.
But it's all gone.
It's going to feed you.
And it's gone.
Pretty much. But they see what I'm doing. They know I like working on houses, and that I like being involved in that. But I like organizing it more, finding the deal, buying the deal, setting it up. So
connecting all the pieces.
Yeah, that's what I like.
After my first deal, I think I was ruined as an employee. I went back with just like an arrogance of like my time is so. I was 20, right? And so it's funny. The guy who fired me when I quit, and I wasn't super unornery about it, right? But I was like, this is just kind of like. I make on one deal what you pay me in 6 months. And his reply was like, oh, your work has been worth less than minimum wage, so you can just go. And I was like, okay, that's fair. So definitely ruins you as an employee. So if you haven't already, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Any questions you have about kind of making this journey going from whether it's your own business or like a W-2 job to starting out wholesaling, transitioning into flipping, or looking into buy and hold, feel free to just throw those comments down below. I'll be sure to answer them, and I'll also make sure Ron's got the link so he can answer any questions you guys have for him. I'll talk to you next time.